What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the loot system within the world of Kingdoms of Amalur, and I'm going to do as much as I can, or as best as I can, to explain what this loot system does within the world of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Now, while you may argue is that this game has a loot system to what it's very similar to that of Diablo, The Division, or Borderlands. But what makes this somewhat different in a unique way, each loot that you will pick up, it has to do with the rarity. You have your uncommons, you have your greens, you have your blues, you have your purples, and then you have your exotics, basically, or your legendaries, right? Okay, so especially we're going to be talking about the gear first, and then we're going to be delving right more into the weapons specifically, because I feel like the weapons are what makes this game even more interesting, and its own intricate type of playstyles that you can do within your weapons. But it's also depending on your gear set as well, and it also depends on your playstyle. And I think that's what makes this game even more cool or unique. But I'm not saying that Diablo, The Division, or Borderlands, I mean, every single type of looter game that you play, whether if it's a looter shooter or a looter RPG action-adventure like Kingdoms, it doesn't matter, because each kind of game like this are always going to be tailored to your type of playstyle, and how it's going to be intricate, and how it's going to involve how you build your character as a whole, and what kind of abilities that you want to invest in as well. Now, we are not talking about abilities, because I have made a video previously on that. I talked about the abilities, a couple of videos actually, I might add. I've talked about the abilities and the skills that you want to be able to partake and use specifically to your type of playstyle. No, but it doesn't matter which race that you pick. But it does matter of what skills that you want to choose. If you want to go full rogue, if you want to go full stealth, by all means go all the way up with your stealth skill tree. That is totally a must. It's the same thing as like what the Elder Scrolls games or the Fallout games do in that specific regard. So I think that's kind of cool how they kind of have that type of implementation. But overall, I'm just trying to bare no bones. I don't know exactly what I mean by that, but my apologies. So now, like I said, I want to talk about mainly about the gear first, and then we'll go on move on to the weapons. Now, what the gear set does, especially if you, like I say, if you're looking for like specifics, it doesn't matter whether if it's purples or not. But if you want to look for specific types of gear sets, they are always going to be either a random loot drop. They will also be in chests, and they sometimes they will be obtained with defeated enemies as well. There's a lot of chances of the exotic gear sets or weapons specifically, how it's always going to be something random. It's not always going to show up where you're expecting it to show up. It's that 50-50 chance of finding the exotic gear sets. Whether if you're playing full rogue, full archmage, or full might, it doesn't matter, because each gear, you will always find different types of gear legendary sets that are not just tailored to your playstyle, but you're always going to find might, sorcery, or finesse. So it's always going to be different to that type of way of how you, not just how you find it, but it's how you are tailored to what playstyle that you are doing. And if you don't want to keep that playstyle, if you don't want to keep those gears, you can always sell gear sets. You can always sell them. But what I also found out, though, too, what's nice about Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, what this game does is the fact that it's not like what Skyrim is. Skyrim, you can't respec. But in Kingdoms of Amalur, you can respect your character as you see fit. Just as long as that you have enough money to be obtained and basically respect your character, you can go full on might. You can go full on finesse. You can go full on sorcery. And that's what's nice about this game. That's what's nice about this game, is the fact that you can respect your character and you can play anything as you want, no matter what race you play as. That's one thing that this game kind of has a little bit of that Elder Scrolls feel in terms of the race. It doesn't matter with race. It matters of what kind of playstyle, of what, as you see fit, and how you want to play it. So, going back to the loot system. Now, if you find like not gear sets, excuse me. If you find like weapons that are unique, which are the purples, right? It's the same thing as like what I would say what Destiny does, or what the Division does as well. But when it comes to the purples or the uniques, they will be found in chests, random loot drops. It's always gonna be different wherever you go, wherever you find these types of uniques or the purple weapons or gear. It's the same thing with the exotics. You're always gonna find the purple. You're always gonna find the uniques, or you're always going to find the legendaries in anywhere where you go. It doesn't matter what level you are. You're always going to find these types of uniques and exotics within the world of Amalur. And I think that's what's very interesting about how they implemented the looting system within Kingdoms. So, now I got that out of the way. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about, why we have this type of loot system in this game and what it does. No matter what you find, especially when it comes to the uniques and the legendaries or the exotics. Those are the only two rarities of loot when it comes to weapons or gear. I'm not talking about like the blues or your uncommons or your greens, because you're always going to find those, right? But when you're talking about the uniques, which are the purples, and when you're also talking about the oranges, which are going to be either the legendary or the exotics, they will always be found any kind of random chest or enemy defeat or anything, okay? But what I'm trying to get to is that when it comes to the purples, the uniques, and the oranges and the exotics, it's always a 50-50 chance of finding these specific items. It does not matter whether if it's like a might gear set, or a finesse gear set, or a sorcery gear set. It's the same thing as with the purples or the uniques, like your weapons. Basically, the purple, it's not just about your weapons either. It's more appropriately about the gear as well. You will always find, not always find, excuse me, let me back that up. You will eventually find purple gear sets as well. But that's another thing, though, too. That it's really rare to find the uniques and the exotics or the legendaries in this game, because, like I said, it all has to do with the 50-50 chance of finding these specific types of items. It's not like that when you find like the uncommons or the greens or your blues. It's really not. It has to do with the fact that with the purples or the uniques or the orange or exotics or the gold, they will be found in any kind of spot wherever you go as you search within the world of this game. And that is the definition of what this game does in terms of the looting system. And I think that's what makes Kingdoms of Amalur even more worth not just saving, but it's worth of exploring every single nook and cranny in this game to look and do questing or your main story. You will always find either your gold tier sets or your unique purple sets or gear or weapons. It's amazing what you can do or what you can find in the world of this game. And I think what really makes this game different, not just from what Diablo or the Division or Borderlands does, but I've explained about what this game does in terms of the leveling in a video, and so I don't want to talk about that because I feel like I tend to repeat myself, and I'm really trying my best to not do that as much anymore. I mean, it's a little bit of a crux, actually. It's a little bit of a vice, actually, to where it's like Sometimes I have a hard time trying to figure out what words I'm really trying to acknowledge with, and how to explain things a little bit better. But I feel like I'm doing a lot better than I used to. So, and sorry that I'm veering just a little bit off topic. So, now I think what I truly love about Kingdoms of Amalur, with its looting system, is the fact that, you're always going to find the uniques, the purples with, like Fey Blades, daggers, gear sets. It's the same thing with the orange or the legendary or the gold or whatever you may call it, because it's so cool of how the weapons look like, and it's so cool of what the gear set looks like as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, I love the way how the gear sets and the weapon sets that you find, whether if they're unique or gold, they will always look somewhat different. And each type of gear that you get, whether if it's gold or not a weapon, but gold. You see, here's the thing though too, what I've also noticed with the loot system in this game is the fact that the only thing I will tell you right now is that you will find gear sets and weapons under the unique rarity, which is the purple, right? And so then you have the gold, basically, which is going to be your legendary or your exotic, right? With the gold or exotic, they are only tailored to weapons. They are not weapons, excuse me. They are only tailored to your gear. Not your weapons, but your gear. But when it comes to the uniques, which are the purples, you will always find with that rarity, you will always find weapons. You will find gear. And that's what's even more unique to what Kingdoms of Amalur does in terms of the looting system. And I think that's really cool. So like I said, it's not just about, blacksmithing your gear. It's not just about blacksmithing your weapons. It's the fact that they did something different with the looting system within this game that makes it unique, and how it just transforms these weapons and your gear to look so massively cool and exotic and vibrant and somewhat lush in a way, and how pretty it looks. And I think that's another reason why I love this game so much, not just because of its gameplay style, not just because of its RPG mechanics. It has to do with what this game tells you. It has to do with what this game brings to you as a gamer. If you are similar to the RPG adventure games like Kingdoms of Amalur or any other like Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, or you have any RPG game out there that you can think of, like Destiny or Diablo or The Division. Those are kind of somewhat RPG-ish as well, because you have different types of looting systems within these games. But what really makes Kingdoms of Amalur so different is, like I said, when it comes to the uniques, which are the purples, they will also come into weapon style or the gear style. And I think that's what makes, like I said, I think that's what really makes Kingdoms of Amalur really sets it apart and somewhat different to what other looter games do in terms of the rarity. Yes, the rarity when it comes to looting systems, I think when it comes into Destiny or Diablo or The Division, they're always going to be different, but you can use them at any time you want. But within Diablo, in the Division or Division 2, it doesn't matter what kind of loot. It's not just about the loot system in that game. It has to do with what you find. No matter what weapons you pick up or what gear you pick up, you can use those as you see fit for your character. It doesn't matter what kind of a build you are doing, because you basically can make your build on the fly constantly within the world of the Division. I mean, you can do that within the world of Amalur as well, but the only way to do that is that you have to respect your character. But I think when it comes to the Division games, you can't respect your character. You can't. As far as I know, I haven't really tried it, so my bad on that type of comparison. But that's the way how I'm seeing it when it comes to that type of loot system rarity when it comes to the Division games, when it comes to Kingdoms of Amalur, when it comes to Destiny, and when it comes to Diablo. It just, I feel like that when it comes to the looting systems in general within these types of games, in their own unique, different type of gameplay styles or whatnot, it all boils down to it. Yeah, it all boils down to the rarity of that specific gear or weapon. It's like Destiny, for example. Destiny doesn't really give you that, well, it doesn't really give you that option to respect, because you're always going to want to, if you're playing as a Titan, you're always going to find weapons that are not going to be tailored. There's no tailored playstyle in Destiny. And I think that's what makes Destiny just a little bit bland in that sort of aspect. But I'm not saying that Destiny doesn't do a good job with its looting system, because it's an MMO or RPG type of shooter as well, because it's an online game. But I think when it comes to single player games like Kingdoms of Amalur, it just, like I said, it just does something different when it comes to the looting system, because like I said, with the golds, it's all nothing but gear. It's not your armor. But when it comes to the purples, or the uniques as they are called, you will find weapons and gear with that type of rarity, or with that same rarity, the purple or the unique. So, but like I said, I'm getting toward the ends of this video. So what I'm saying, when it comes to the uniques, the purples, and when it comes to the golds, they are very hard to find, but you will eventually find them no matter where you go. Like I said, it doesn't matter what level you are. You will find these type of weapons or gear, whether if it comes in the purple unique rarity or the gold rarity, other than the gear itself. The gear is, like I said, the gear is only tailored to the gold. There's no weapons, just gear. And like I said, but when you're going with purple uniques, you will find weapons and gear. So I think that's what makes this game somewhat different in terms of the looting system within the world of Amalur. And like I said, I thoroughly believe it just makes this game a little bit better when it comes to the looting system. So, but anyways, that's pretty much it. So if you have any kind of comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. We're more than happy to have any type of civilized conversation about it. But stay tuned for more future videos here, and I will chat you guys later. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.